So this is my little studio. It's a lovely little space that we built out. It used to be a garage, and now it's this nice little studio. As you can see, I've cleaned it up for you.
You didn't have to.
But, well, when it's in its glory, it's pretty, a lot of piles. I started collaging in my sketchbook 2015, 2016. This is how I started. Just paper, just magazines and notebooks and scissors and glue sticks. Yeah. And just having so much fun just with the shapes, with the imagery. And there's something about, I don't know if you've ever done any collage, but there's something about doing collage just like this as a private kind of personal practice that there's no responsibility, right? You're just playing with these things. You don't have to come up with the line. You don't have to draw the eye, so it was really freeing and really felt, I really love my old collage books. 2018, 19, I started kind of playing on some of these boards, and what I have learned this year is I'm not a painter. I get out my brushes and I get out the paint, and it just doesn't feel like it's not the juice. But then I get out a trowel, and then I tear up some collage material, and so for me it's all about the mixed media. Collage looms really large, and just cutouts and negative spaces are just what I love to play with, really. The way I work, I do generally start, I don't have anything in the super first stages here, but I do generally start with paint. Okay. Some kind of paint, but then always the next step is to get out the collage materials. So I have all of these places. There's this bin, and there's this bin, and there's those piles. And a lot of the fun of the way I work is the hunt. Look at all this fun stuff, and it looks different every day, depending on what you're working with, depending on what I'm working with, ooh, that's going to be nice when I get that out.
Look at that.
And then, definitely the hunt, and then I do that, I do this a lot, and then I use gel medium things. So it's a back and forth between paint layers and collage layers, and then I do like to use a lot of dry medium. I like to use Conte crayon. I love color pencils. I love oil pastels. I just go. It's like a back and forth between dry medium and wet medium, basically.
Nice.
In kind of a wild way. I have to say, I love it when things get a little bit messy. Every one of my paintings has a lot of layers. And part of the process is layering and covering up, and part of the point is the history and the unseen and the mystery. And I love it when it becomes textured, and it becomes you can see the relief of the previous layers. That stuff I just really love, and it indicates this idea that there's a lot under there that you can't see.
Yeah.
It's a lot of metaphor. And so at some point it's, this one morphed into, it's kind of about the color combination, the blue and the orange. Oh yeah, I love to use a lot of different tools as well.
Oh, yeah.
I love applying paint with brayers. I love scraping things. This is a tool that I couldn't live without. I love scraping things back, to reveal whatever. I've really come to accept that process of just peel it back a little bit, and whatever comes up is the right thing to. If you just put a few colors out and then pick up a little, and it does its own thing.
Nice. Yeah.
I I like letting materials do their own thing. It's all about, for me, pushing it through and working with the idea of just keeping going on a painting, and not being afraid to cover up layers and just keeping going. So, and maintaining a certain sense of freedom. And there is something about that painting that I think, is foretell. There's a little foreshadowing there for where I would like to go. There's something about this little piece, and that there are layers, and I love the idea of different
There's hidden beauty.
and these kind of distinct like spaces, or I call them rooms, maybe akin to all of the places in the human psyche or emotion. Like we all have these different spaces. I find myself using the cutouts and the cutoffs and the scraps. Like for instance, this gorgeous piece of paper was a palette paper.
Oh.
Just like this is what you end up with, and a lot of people would throw this away. Titles are really important to me, and titles come, usually when I'm in process. Sometimes I borrow titles if I'm listening to a podcast and somebody says just a few words together that I think are beautiful. For instance, this one came from that. Like I think where shadows can't be found and in the absence of you. These come from like I'm listening to a podcast or something, and it's just a few words taken out of context, which is something I also love to do, take things out of context. But the titles for me are very important, and it's never literal. I mean, this process is all about exploration. I'm definitely an explorer. I'm definitely a seeker, which is, I would say, something that I am, but outside of my art studio, the explorer would never be my title. But in here, explorer is definitely my title.
Yes.
So it's really, there's a lot to learn about oneself engaging in the process of art. And I've really been appreciating it. Such a great metaphor for life, this layering. I'm always telling myself, like, keep going, like just keep going, just make another mark, just, when things get a little bit confusing. And the one I just heard from somebody that I didn't come up with it, but is that art, like paintings are just an artifact of the process. Like art is an artifact of the process that you're engaged in, and I really resonate with that because it's a continuum. It's this whole process from whenever you start engaging in the art process until you stop. Each piece is just a continuum, and it's just a moment in your development.